What's going on, guys? In this video, I want to address the elephant in the room. I want to tell you guys why I am teaching people how to do digital real estate, why I have a program, why I have digital landlords. And the reason why I want to talk about this is because so many people avoid this question. So many people that are teaching it avoid this question. And I'm not avoiding this whatsoever, but I think I should clear it up. I had somebody this morning, we were on a call, and I actually love getting this question. And sometimes I even bring it up because I'll kind of flip it on them and say, why don't you ask me if this model is so good, why I'm even teaching it? Okay. So I want to go into that today, but literally this morning, maybe 2 hours ago, on a call with somebody, and the person basically said, I just don't understand why you don't just get all of your best people together and you don't just kind of hoard the internet and get all the properties and just kind of monopolize it, right? This is the question they had. And I said, I understand what you're saying, and I understand that in theory that works. And I understand that if you think there's a finite amount of properties out there, there's a finite amount of deals to be had, how that works. And I was like, if it was like Bitcoin where there were a certain number of coins, that's one thing, right? Then it makes a lot of sense to go and get as many coins as possible, as many properties as possible if there's a finite amount of properties, okay? But what you don't understand is a couple of things, okay? And so I told him, I said, number one, let me just be very, very transparent with you, is that before I ever opened my mouth, before I ever even talked about this business model, or that I did this business model, or that I'm an expert or an authority in this business model, I made 7 figures 2 years in a row. Do I think that that's the greatest amount of money ever, or do I think that that makes me the biggest player in the game? No, not at all. However, compared to the people that I knew, compared to the people that were in the groups that I was in, that was the most I'd never seen. And to this day, I still don't know anybody else that has made 7 figures doing the model, not teaching it, but doing it. Simple website rentals, digital real estate, rank and rent. I do not know anyone besides myself that done it. So I didn't even know it was possible. Okay. So 2020, I do it. 2021, I do it. And then what ended up happening is an opportunity came to me. I started getting people reaching out to me. I started opening up my messages on Facebook to my filtered messages, and I'd have 5, 6, sometimes 10 messages from people in other groups going, how in the world are you getting deals in December? How are you pre-selling? How are you getting another deal? How did you do $25,000 last week, right? And all these different questions. And at the beginning, I knew that like I had something, but I wasn't crystal clear to me. And so all that I did in the beginning is I just kindly responded. And yes, I think in the back of my mind, I knew that it would come back and help me out. And I knew that like that's kind of how the universe works. When you help other people, it always comes back. But I started responding. I'd just send a message. And then after that, I just had to batch it. And a couple times a week, I would go up to my office after we got the kids down. I'd flip on my camera. I'd open up the message. I'd turn on the camera and I'd answer, be like, hey, what's up? Nice to meet you. Here's your question and here's my answer. It's how I would do it. Nice to meet you. Boom. That's it. And I would just send 5, 6, 7 of these a couple times a week. And at some point I sat there and went, I'm getting the same questions again and again and again. Everyone's asking me this or that or the rest, or how do I do pricing, or how am I setting up this, or whatever the case is. And why don't I just put everybody in one place and answer the questions one time so that I can just, when somebody asks, I can say, hey, check out this answer right here. Boom, that's the answer, right? Saved me a bunch of time. And so that's when I created my free Facebook group and I put everybody in. And then literally I just started going live. Once a week, I'm like, I'm just going to go live and I'm going to share some tips and tricks. And guys, it was very terrifying because no matter how much money you make doing something, the moment that you then take the step to like, hey, I'm going to start teaching it, it's a scary step because you're like, you're their peers, you're other people's peers. And now you're bold enough to go on the camera, go live when you will have 10 people in your group and say, hey, I'm going to get on here and share some tips and tricks and not know if anyone's going to show up. And I remember the very first live that I did, there was one person that got on the call. And guys, I was shocked there was even one person, but there was one person on the call and it was literally like we were doing a one-on-one, but I couldn't see their face. And I just remember thinking, oh man, bless this person. I'm so glad this person's on. Makes me feel a lot better. And they stayed on. I was on for an hour. I don't even remember what we talked about, but I do remember that it was terrifying. And I just started sharing. And then every single week, boom, I'd go live every single Wednesday sharing tips and tricks and strategies and things that help me scale. And that's how it started. And then eventually a couple months later, I realized, hey, there's a huge problem in this space, in this rank and rent space, is people know how to build websites. People know how to rank websites. People know how to do basic SEO. People do not know how to do that and make money. They do not know how to sell. They have leads coming out of their websites and they do not know how to convert it into sales. They don't know who to talk to. They don't know what to say. They don't know how many leads to send up front. And they sure as crap don't know how to pre-sell and how to set up ads and do this. And so that's when I realized that there was an opportunity. And yeah, I saw an opportunity, guys. It's called leverage. I realized that I could create a program. I could then teach people how to do it. I could still maintain and grow my digital real estate business, my digital real estate agency, and do the program because they were literally sister companies. So guys, let me just not sit there and be one of those guys like, I just like to help people. I did it because it was an opportunity. It was a financial opportunity that made 100% sense, and I went for it and I did it, okay? So that is why I do it. Not just, let's be clear, I am not Mr. freaking save the world and do just good for everybody. I did it in a selfish manner because I saw that there was an opportunity. And if you don't like that, then that's fine, but I'm the one that's saying it, and that's the truth of 99% of these people. The difference between me and everyone else is I'll admit it, and I'm still running my business, and I'm still running my agency, and I'm still doing deals. This morning, had somebody reach out to me that we worked with in the past. Hey, man, I know we it's been about a year plus we haven't worked. Wondering if you guys are still doing leads. We need more leads. Boom! Another deal, okay? I'm still in the game. Just because I'm not in the day-to-day operations every single day and I have somebody managing it does not mean I'm not in the game. I will always be in the game. Okay, so that's number one. Okay, opportunity came to me. That's why I did it. I didn't just drop it and say, okay, well, I made $1 million. Now I'm going to go teach it. I'm going to retire. I'm going to go hang up the freaking jersey in the Hall of Fame and go retire. No, I've been in it the whole time, baby. I've been in it the entire freaking time. And it's only when the coaching, when I started doing the program and I realized, man, we're growing rapidly. There's a lot of people that need help, that I made a decision. Hey, I'm going to have somebody manage and run and grow my agency. I'm still going to be involved, but I'm going to be more of like a board member, a consultant, CEO type. When I realized it was growing quickly, I'm going to spend my time on this, that I made that decision. Okay, so that's number one. The other thing is, and I told this gentleman this, I said, you have to understand that I don't have a scarcity mentality. I do not think there is a finite amount of properties out there. I don't. The only way there would be a finite amount of properties, guys, is if there was some kind of formula that said, hey, there's never going to be any new industries created, okay? Never, which is not true. But let's just say there's never going to be new industries created, okay? There can only be one lead generator in each city. And if there is a lead generation website, you're not allowed to build one inside of that. All of which are false, guys. But the reality is there are new niches being created every single day, okay? A couple months ago, I did a live with a friend that's also in the space, and he's like, dude, there's this new niche I'm looking at, and it was like rubber flooring, like playground flooring, and I think it was for garages or for driveways. And I was like, I've never even heard of that. And it's getting popular. And this guy's in Canada, I believe it is. And I'm like, I've never even heard of that. That's literally a brand new niche. Okay. Will it work with regular? I don't know. But if it does, now there's a whole new niche. We can go nationwide as this thing picks up steam. So how can you ever say there's a finite amount of properties? Okay. Secondly, as I've mentioned many times, just because there's another lead generation website in that city and niche does not mean that you can't build one as well. And just because there's another lead generation site in that city and niche that's ranking does not mean they even have a client. And even if they do, does not mean that you can't go get a client. There's no reason that me and let's just say my guy Kyle, Cowboy Kyle, decides to go in the same city and the same niche as me. Why can't he have a client? Why can't he work with Billy the tree trimmer and I work with Susan the tree trimmer? We both make money. Right? He might be number one, I might be number two. He might be number one, I might be number three. He might be in the maps, I might not be. I might be running some ads. It doesn't freaking matter. At the end of the day, we're both delivering value for our clients, okay? So I told my friend that I met this morning, I said, look, dude, there is not a finite amount of property, so it doesn't make sense to me to put down everything that I'm doing and build this little army of people and go and hoard. And he used the word hoard. Why don't you just go and hoard all of the properties and just take it over? Because there's always going to be new properties. There's not a finite amount. There is going to be properties on properties on properties on properties. That is my honest belief. And I have done, I would say 5, maybe 4 videos on, is this saturated? That's really what this question is. Is this industry saturated? Guys, the reason why I'm not hoarding this, the reason, and he kind of was looking at it like, why you keep telling people, bro? Why you keep telling it? I remember, this is my last thing I'm going to say really quick. One of the things I learned when I was doing door-to-door sales, I used to think the exact same way. I would get so mad. I'm like, Why do they keep sending us to the same city and the same neighborhoods? We were here last year and they sent somebody there in the spring and now we're supposed to come here in the summer? Can't we like not let people come here? And this guy said to me, this really, really intelligent guy named Jeff, he said to me this quote, and I've shared this on a YouTube video before, but he said, the laws of marketing state that the more familiar a person is with a product or service, the more apt they are to buy. Contrary to what your little brain thinks, okay? The more familiar that these business owners become with the idea of, hey, there's a website that does not have my brand on it that I can buy leads from, and they are going to convert into jobs. The more people that call, the more people that pitch, the more of us that pitch and call and plant this idea that it is a thing, the more apt they are to buy. Are you going to have people that are like, oh, you guys called last week? Yes. But the more familiar that a person is with a product or service, the more apt they are to buy. I'm guessing, I wasn't there when it happened, but when Home Advisor came out, there were probably people saying the same thing. Well, you can't advertise. It's not even my company. It's not even, what? I'm not going to bid against anyone. And now guess what? Everybody buys leads from Home Advisor, right? Why? Because the business owners or the people, the customers, are more familiar with the product. They understand that it's viable. They may not choose to buy it, but because they know it's a viable option, the more familiar, they know who Home Advisor is. So there's not that credibility issue. They just have to determine, do they want to bid against jobs with other business owners or do they not? Okay. So guys, I ain't hoarding this model because there's nothing to hoard. This is going to keep growing. It's going to keep getting bigger. And we have not even scratched the surface. I'm out.